This is episode number 181 of the Smart Marketing Show, marketing with your brands with a family of colors. Brought to you by our sponsors over at ServerPress, Maker's Desktop Server. They make local WordPress development easy. Check them out over at serverpress.com. And Cloudways. Cloudways handles all your hosting complexities so you can focus on building amazing WordPress websites without any hassle. Go check them out over at cloudways.com. Go check out Bridget's book, The Keys to Being Social. It's both a physical book as well as on Kindle. Feel free to go take a look at that. You can go find that over on Amazon. Support us over on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/WPWaterCooler. That's what help us do all these really cool graphics. I'm Jason Tucker. I'm an IT director and web developer. You can find me at Jason Tucker on Twitter. And this is my friend Bridget Willard. She's a marketing consultant. She can be found at Bridget M. Willard. You can go and help us out by leaving us a review on any of the podcast places that you listen to a podcast. We are a podcast. You can just go find us wherever good podcasting places can be found. And again, with the abrupt ending, ta-da!
Hey, we just want to make sure they're paying attention.
Right. It wakes me up.
I did put in whatever the version of a pull request is to Cap, asking them how do I make a fade out audio. They got back to me, but they're putting it into something that they wanted to. So we'll see what happens.
Awesome.
Yeah, you know, my huge pool of 1,500 followers on Twitter, whatever it is, you know. That's social media influencer.
That's huge to me.
Well, you know, the first 1,000's the hardest, guys. It really is. And if people would just listen to me and all the free advice I keep giving and the modeling that I do on my Twitter account, y'all can have more followers too.
Because I too can be a guru.
You too can be a guru.
Of which? Oh my goodness.
I mean, that's why I did it. It's my labor of love. But the price went up. So it's only $10 during 2020. This is real life. It's worth, if it's not worth $25, you really don't care about your own marketing. So sorry. That's the truth. But hey, like that's reality, right? And when we're talking about caring about the marketing of your business, a lot of times it's bootstrapped. You're in your garage, you're in your, you know, you're doing whatever, it's your passion project. And then you like get some logo on Fiverr or whatever. And now you're ready to like rebrand, and rebranding is your jam, Rhonda, right? So like when I think of colors, like, so when I rebranded, I was all about my tattoo, which is the source of my colors. And then the next iteration of my website, you're like, oh, I got a new kind of palette. And I'm like, what is this thing with multiple palettes? And I thought maybe our show would like to hear a little bit more about what you and I had at our brunch the other day. Less the biscuits. Sorry, like
what did you eat?
I had.
How was the weather that day?
Smarty pants. The weather was perfect. We sat outside. It was beautiful, historic building at the Pioneer Flower Factory right here in downtown San Antonio.
It was Gunther House.
Well, yeah, Gunther House, which is adjacent to the Pioneer Flower Factory with a view of the San Antonio River.
Right, and the flower is coming out of the factory, and it makes it look like it's snowing.
Ah,
it's really cute.
That's cool. Super smart.
Unless you're, have gluten issues, and it's like
right, could be a problem.
So I mean, like seriously though, like just to kind of go back, like I always thought, like kind of how we have our blue and yellow. I mean, our blue and orange here. Like a brand has like 2 colors, and you always gave me 5. So like, can you just tell us a little bit about like the main color palette and I know that it's like a part 2 to the part 3 to the of the branding. I mean, this is basically a series that we have you on.
Rhonda, we know where you live. We'll just have you come in and tell us more about those things. So it's not that big of a deal.
Well, okay, so your logo is just part of your brand. And so generally, I stick to 2 colors, sometimes a third for your logo, because your logo has, it needs to be simple, because it needs to be used in multiple places without losing its integrity, that kind of thing. And so the fewer colors you have, the less muddy it can get when it's scaled down, but also the easier it'll be to remember, because like I can even think of some big brand names I know that have multiple colors in the logo, but I can't remember more than the 2 basic ones, which is like blue and orange. And I'm thinking of the Windows logo. Now there could be more, but I mean, Microsoft has some advantage. They've already been around for a long time, right? So they can afford to experiment. So for them, it's not a big deal. People already know who Windows is without seeing the logo. The other advantage they also have is that it's such a recognizable logo that without the color, if everything were made black, people know exactly who that is, right?
Oh yeah, Amazon Smile.
Right.
I mean Amazon in general, from A to Z, all you need is that swervy arrow, and you know.
Right, right. And again, that's another one that's really simple. There's some typography and then the arrow, right? Or smile. And it's generally black and white or black and yellow, and that's it. But that doesn't mean those are the only colors that they have. And that's the thing, when you go through a branding process, generally speaking, you'll get the colors for your whole brand, not just the colors for your logo. Because you're going to need, I mean, Jason, you know, because you build websites, and Bridget, you do too for that matter, you know that you need more than 2 colors, because you've got to create some separation between sections. You've got to have, you know, headers, one color, links, maybe another color, that kind of thing. And so having more than 2 colors outside of your logo is important. And so
your button.
Yeah.
Right.
The most important thing on any website.
Right. And that's, well, that generally speaking, that should be the color of your links, right? And so for me on my website, if you go to fatdogcreatives.com, even while you're listening or watching this, you can see I've got orange is my action color. So that means it's for buttons and it's for links. So I have 3 colors in my logo, but I have 5 what I call primary brand colors. But I have a lot more than that for my brand palette. And how you come up with that, this is super easy. It's not rocket science, trust me. So if you're a designer, for example, you can open up Photoshop, place all 5 colors that you've been given or that you've created for your own brand into a layer, duplicate it on another layer, and then make it a top layer. So move it up a little bit, and then start adjusting the hue and saturation and lightness of that one. So that'll be your lighter colors. And then duplicate the original colors. Again, put it on a lower level so that you can still see the original. And then again, these should be darker. So start playing with the hue, saturation, and lightness again. And then you've got your primary, you've got a lighter set and a darker set. That's for designers. Designers can do that. And then of course they know from there they can also have what we call tints and shades. So tint, we don't have to get super technical. Tint means, hey, we're going to add a little white to that color to make it lighter, right? So Jason, you could go into coolers.co. You can put your colors in there. And then there's I forget what it's called, but there's a way for you to view all the tints and shades. So shade means you're adding black to your color, so you're making it darker. And you can do that for every single color that you've been given for your brand palette. So I've got 5 main colors. I've got yellow and brown, which you'll see on my my website. I've also got blue because it's in the logo. And then I've got orange as my action color. And then I've got a 5th color and it's green. You don't see it that much. But then from those 5, I have lots more. I've got some darker blues. So when I need to create a more intimate mood or something, I can do that. And yeah, love this site. And the wonderful thing about Coolors is, yes, you can use it to generate your color palette. Oh, I like this color. And then keep hitting the space bar and it'll produce more colors. And you can just locking is a way to save it. Lock the color that you like and then keep hitting the space bar to create more. And then after a while, you've got your palette. But you can also just go and click on where you see the, the numbers at the bottom. You can enter in, those are hex values. You can enter in your hex value. Yep, right there. And then you can lock all of yours. And then you can also add columns. So if you want to broaden your palette before you start looking at the tints and shades, yep, you can move them around just like that. And there are your tints and shades. So you can, once you've built that, you can export it as a PDF so that you can save it. You can also bookmark that URL, because guess what? That URL has every hex code for every color that you've locked.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So every time you go to that URL, your palette's going to come up, even without you saving it in that system. Now, you probably want to save it.
Right. I have a Google Doc with like Bridget's Colors 2019, blue, red, I just have the hex codes. Okay, here's 2020s, and then I go into Canva, our favorite tool, and then I pay to have the brand set where I can put in my colors. Yeah. So I can pick any of their designs, and then use my colors. I just did that with something else I was doing. I just thought, oh, let's change up this design for some featured image on a page. Oh, boom, there's my purple. Boom, there's my green.
I was going to say, I think I saw a featured image on one of your tweets on Twitter. Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. If you weren't listening to me talk to Regenda Zore on Twitter, my friend Ron Huerca and I are working on a plugin.
Awesome.
It's called Launch with Words. It's going to be freaking awesome.
Ooh, yeah. I want to hear about it.
Oh, baby. You will hear about it because I was in the middle of making my landing page when I went, oh, it's time for the show. Because, of course, I do what I preach, which is market while it's being built.
So you're going to know how to market your plugin, and you're going to start marketing your plugin before your plugin is finished. So you can build some
crazy talk.
Wow. Build some interest and excitement. Yeah.
You know why I care about that? Because I want you all to get paid. Like, every day, I mean, that's a whole nother show, but like every day, Jason, I mean, don't you hear it from our friends?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm waiting for the client to get me blah, 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 blah. And you can't launch a website without words. The website is for the words. We forget about that sometimes, but because we have all these great colors. And that's another thing I want to ask you about. Like, I'm not that crazy. I had a segue. So listen, like, I know that we get these colors and we get all these different hues and stuff, but like, okay, so when we're talking about accessibility, all right, like I was on another website, not related to any of the things we were talking about, just some random website. And I could barely read the words because they were using one of their brand colors on white. It was just with that, you know what I mean? Or like, so I want my headings to be a certain color. Maybe it's not the action color because that's confusing if it's the link in the button. But like, how do I make the choice on which of those colors is going to be my heading color?
So generally speaking, you want your action color to be the most vibrant. So that's why I chose orange, obviously, because now yellow is definitely vibrant, but guess what? Yellow presents some accessibility issues, as you know. And so that's why I primarily use yellows in the graphics or backgrounds. But yeah, so I'm sorry, you asked something else and I wanted to add that in. I forgot what you asked.
The heading color. So the action color is like click, button. But like, here's the headings. Like, we don't want them to be all, I have a sage green, lack of, I don't memorize my hex codes, but like I have a sage green, right? That's not a good color for a heading.
Well, it depends on how dark or light it is. But again, that's where once you have your primary colors mapped out, and again, you could add some, but you can just take those and plug them into coolers.co and then click on I think it's the 4 squares where it shows you the lighter shades, the lighter tints, I'm sorry, and the darker shades of that color. Because the orange that I actually use on my page is not one of the 5 primary. It's a darker shade of my orange. And it's because of accessibility issues.
Okay, so if you can still use your main palette.
Yeah, there's that color.
Yeah. Now, so that's where I'm inconsistent because I built that page that you just had up, that element before I started learning about accessibility. So Rhonda needs to go practice what she preaches, right?
All right, I'll find
That's
you
okay.
more homework to do. No big deal.
I can read the brown.
Yeah, you can, but can other people? And
Right.
The brown isn't the issue. It's the fact that the big actions are orange, yellow are what I call the secondary actions. And there's some debate on whether or not having a secondary action color is appropriate or not. Does it confuse people? For me, I think it says, hey, you definitely need to click on this link. The others are like, yeah, if you feel like it.
And then the marketer in me would be like, then don't put it there.
Yeah, well, that's true. But the other thing is you might have it as a regular link and it could get overlooked.
That's
so, it's a trial and error often.
Mark your spot.
This is me trying out a headline.
I love it.
I've had it up. Yeah, I've had it up for a few months, and I actually sent it out to quite a few people to get reactions. And it was pretty mixed. I thought, it's pretty mixed because a lot of people would say, hey, don't go for it if, less than 50 people like it. But here's the thing, even though it was mixed, they were all like extreme. Like they were either really like, oh, I can't believe you put that on your site, or, oh my gosh, that's hilarious. And so I'm like, okay, it did some work, right? So it got some attention.
Yeah.
And so that's why I've kept it. We'll see after a few more months.
The name of your company isn't like Overweight Dog Creatives or Obese Dog Creatives or something like that.
Right.
You went straight to it and just said, yeah, you just went straight to it. So to be fun, you're going to be fun. Might as well be fun about it.
Well, right. And, we've talked before about archetypes, and my archetype is child. And while you might say, oh, well, but the headline screams Joker. Yeah, perhaps it's also Joker is one of my sub personalities, but children are very playful, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But also, as current and former dog owners, the 3 of us, man, it's hard not having a dog. So, Jason, you take Lincoln out for a walk. How many times does he's marking his spot?
Okay, so let's just say that my workouts are to the point where my watch tells me, "Hey, are you done with your workout?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just sitting here waiting for this dude to like finish sniffing and peeing on everything." So yeah, no, it happens quite regularly to the point where my watch thinks that I stopped my workout.
Right. And I mean, and that's what you're doing when you're marketing is you're
stopping people.
You're showing your territory. And the reason dogs do it, besides the actual biological release, is to tell other dogs, hey, this is my territory.
Yeah.
Well, right. But it's also to, for marketing purposes, it's to stop you. Because stop you meaning to make you think, stop you from scrolling, right? And create some kind of drama to capture your attention, even if it's briefly. And certainly, the more dramatic something is, the longer you're going to remember it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I was noticing on your site, that there's some spots within it where without the color, you wouldn't stop at it. So as I'm scrolling down, I want to stop at this spot because there's a huge dramatic change in color.
Yeah.
You know? So like color is important, not just for the fact that you're, you know, this isn't even one of like your primary colors that you're using, this very darker kind of richer tone, but it's like, I mean, you'd use it in a bunch of different places, but it's not like your yellow or it's not like your orangey color.
Well,
But
because I use it like a black. I mean,
yeah,
because it is everywhere, but it's my black.
yeah, but I want to stop at this spot. I want to stop at this other spot here. You know, like
Yeah.
I want to stop at those places, and those places are important. And you have calls to action for those spots saying, here, I want you to do something when you're here. Here's some great stuff that I designed for this person. And by the way, if you go over here, here's a case study that's just for what I did for that person or that company. So yeah, the color thing is really important for color separation and stuff, and being able to know where to start and where to stop. We have that problem at the church that I work at, where our color palette is black and white.
But that's the best color palette, because that means you can add in a pop of red if it's appropriate. I mean, you can any color can be your accent color.
Yeah.
You know, of course, it depends on the rest of your brand and the rest of your personality and the goal of whatever the page is. But black and white is the best color palette, and people seem to freak out about it. But it's the most luxurious. First of all, if you stay with a monochrome, you know, shades of gray kind of thing.
Right.
So that's where luxury resides. But also, if it's black and white, that means you can add in colors as you need. And it can be, I say almost any color, but I mean within your brand personality as well. But yeah, it's fun.
We use, because we use photography to match with that black and white. So we have a lot of our hero graphics or color, very, very bright colors that are just photos that we've taken at the events that we do and at the, you know, the gatherings that we have or the lack thereof. But like any of those types of things that are happening, we have those, and we kind of show those and use that color that are in those photos as a way of doing it. The other thing is, if you do use a lot of photography, you could also apply a color overlay to it to then focus in on that color. So if you're using colors in a bunch of different places, and you want to continue to use that darker brown color that you had in there, and you want to use that elsewhere, and you're going to have some photos on there, just throw that in as an overlay color. And now you've essentially said, okay, all these bright colors that are on this page, you're just going to be, you know, brighter and darker areas. And now you're going to have this like brownish color laying on top of it, just to make it, you know, kind of all match with it.
Yeah, yeah, and you can do that either in if you've got a page builder or something, or you can do that in Photoshop. And in Photoshop, you could even make it instead of as an overlay, you can make it what's called duotone, which is anything that's dark is one color, and anything that's light is another color. And that's a really nice effect too. That's kind of old school right there, though. A lot of people don't do that anymore. Although when in the 2016, 2017, when the 80s kind of started coming back in vogue, more younger designers started discovering this duotone thing. And that was fun to see revived. I don't see it as much now, but you know,
it's in a couple of the apps that I use in social media for you know, generating graphics and stuff, where you have that Canva even has that built in, where if you want to do a duotone, you can turn that on and it'll do that for you.
Nice.
So church is a great example, a church website of where you might want moods, because there's the women's ministry, the children's ministry, the men's ministry, the teens, the young 20s.
Right.
Like, how do we make mood palettes, or how are mood palettes? What's the use case for a mood palette?
Well, so your whole brand has a mood, right? All the colors as a whole, but then you can isolate certain colors to create a specific mood to use on a landing page, a marketing piece, whatever. And so I'll just take my brand palette, for example. I don't have a page that's coming to mind that would demonstrate it, but as you saw, my homepage was primarily the dark brown as a black, and then yellow and orange. And so that creates, the brown is really grounding, but I have a lot of white, right? Because that's I have white space and white background. And And so that's really happy and light and airy, but the brown is grounding. And I need that brown to be grounding because I've got so much yellow on there, and yellow is the hardest color for the eye to process. And so if there's too much else around there, it's going to cause stress. But there might be instances where you want to use some stress. And so I might then use more yellow than I am the brown, and then pop in some orange, and that orange and yellow, because they're so close together, they create some tension. There's even a green. You can just pull up a generic green, like kind of middle of the road green, and then a magenta, and put those next to each other, and you're going to see a visual vibration. And that creates tension. And there's obviously going to be situations where you might need to create some tension. And maybe it's at the top of a landing page, so that while you're presenting what the problem is, and the colors are vibrating, I'm using my hands so that so that you kind of get stressed out, right? So the colors are vibrating, and then as you scroll down, they start to get a little bit further apart, and at the bottom, perhaps you can calm things down. Use a little less of the orange. Keep the yellow, but then add in some of the brown, and then you've calmed them. Look, here's my solution. So that's the way the color can move people's emotions through your landing page, because generally at the top of the page, you're presenting the problem and how you can relate to them. And so then the rest of the page moves them through, hey, I get all these struggles. I know you've tried this, this, and this. And then at the bottom, hey, here, I've got the fix for that.
Yeah. Are you bored or sleepy during your presentations? They're not good.
I didn't realize you were reading it first. I was like, are you asking me if I'm bored while I'm speaking?
Those are so profound, Jason. No, it's true. I mean, having a way of kind of carrying that person through that experience.
Yeah, and I didn't do that here. I did not create visual tension, but there's certainly opportunities out there where you could do that. I haven't done it on any pages in my website, but I have done it for clients, and none are coming to mind right now. But be bold. You know what, Bridget, one thing for you to consider is to A/B test your landing pages for your new plugin that you're developing, right?
Yeah.
You can have one that, as far as the color goes, is pretty standard. And then you can have another that's a little risky at the top, but then flows just like a gradient to some kind of peaceful balance.
Interesting.
And then you can A/B test those. Week 1 and 2, on Twitter, use the typical one. Week 3 and 4, and then 5 and 6, and then 7 and 8, and see which one's getting the most response.
Yeah.
Which one are getting the most clicks, and then which one's selling, because one might be getting the most clicks, but the other might be more effective at selling.
Yeah.
But don't change anything else other than the color, because then you don't know what else it is. It could be the copy, right?
Because science.
Right.
Scientific method, change one thing. It's literally A or B. But most people have two completely different options.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to France or
Corpus?
Yeah. Corpus Christi, yeah.
Right.
I mean,
big difference.
The south of France is like not even as warm as Corpus Christi. Corpus Christi is the same as Morocco.
Yeah, well, it's close to the equator.
Well, I know it's funny, Jason, because I'm so much further south now.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. And I go down 2.5 hours south, and I'm at 27 degrees north.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm at 29 here. And I used to be at 33. And then I go down there, and I'm wondering why it's so damn hot. That's why, because it's really close to the equator. And I get sunburnt super easy because it's closer to the equator.
Well, not only that, but you are light-skinned.
No, I know, but I get sunburnt way easier there. Like when you go to Mexico, it's or Hawaii or whatever, tropics.
Well, speaking of things not to do, what are things you should not do in color?
Yeah.
What are some?
What
of
was
those
that?
things
Tell us one thing we.
Yeah, what are some things that
Okay,
you
so
shouldn't do with color? Like we've talked a ton about like here's how great, you know, Fat Dog Creative's website is, and here's all the colors that they use and everything. But like what are the things that you shouldn't do with
yeah,
color?
so good, because that's where I wanted to go next, because this is part of our conversation the other day, Bridget and I over breakfast. Was the research that I found that I'm incorporating into the book that I'm still working on. Well, we'll be working on again. Is that while you can have a whole color palette, and let's say black and red might be in your color palette, there are reasons that perhaps they might not be appropriate for your logo. And I pulled up, so that I can read and not mislead anybody, I pulled up that hero personality that I have in my book. And on that one, the research indicates that with caution for the hero, be careful about using high level of brightness or light logos, light colors in your logos. And why? Because the hero is supposed to be strong, right? But the lighter the color, we get into pastels, right? And we start thinking children, are children strong? But generally we consider children weak, right? So you want to avoid, maybe if you use a yellow, you might need, and you're a hero, you might need to have, you know, red and black with it. But you also need to consider what else is red, yellow, and black. And is that something I should perhaps steer from, or consider how much of each of those colors I'm using? Because you also have to think of context, right? Now, I love Germany, but when people think of red, yellow, and black, many people will think of the German flag. Not a problem, because modern day Germany is wonderful and fabulous. But if you use more red and black, you might start to look into the less desirable areas of, you might be associating with the less desirable areas. Now that doesn't mean, now, is that appropriate for a hero to have red and black? Absolutely, because guess what? Bridget's does. Right. She's got orange in there too.
Right.
And it's okay. And here's the other reason why it works is none of the imagery could be mistaken as those symbols that we're all aware of from that era, right? The other thing is she's not a religious organization, which also some of the religious symbols were twisted a bit for that era. And so those are the things that you need to be mindful of for your organization that's not Bridget, but using similar colors, right?
Yeah.
What about color blindness? Like, it's occurring to me because I just went off of that. I mean, it's that kind of hot pink red that I have, but like that is a primary color in my logo. And yet color blindness, red is a problem, right?
Yeah. Well, it depends on the type of color blindness, but from what I remember from my last client that I designed for, who had prototopia, or I can't remember how it was. That's the other cool thing about coolers.co, by the way, is they have, and I had to, it was my crutch, I will be quite honest, because when you don't have color blindness, you don't know how people are interpreting these colors. And so other than having them sit right next to you and say, I don't see what you're seeing, but then you still can't see through their eyes. So it's hard to, it would even be hard if they were sitting right next to you.
Yeah, here's a filter that shows you that, and based on that type of color filter you're talking about.
Send me that.
What's it called?
Oh, you're asking me to pronounce a word now.
Protanopia.
Protanopia.
Okay.
Oh, the website.
No,
is
the website, so I can for the notes.
TopTal, TOPTAL, and I'll put the link in our chat here as well.
Yeah, thank you, because that would have been even better, perhaps. Although I was doing branding, but still.
Yeah, it shows you what those differences are. What those differences are between the different the normal ones on the left and then on the right. And you can see that there's still a color contrast between those, and it is saying, you know, this is a call to action. But yeah, you can kind of go through, and you can even switch between these different ones that are on here, and it'll kind of create an image, so you can kind of see what the differences are. So
And
like
Coolers does the same thing, which is wonderful. So either of these tools, and there's definitely going to be times when I might rely more on that one than Coolers and vice versa. But yeah, so, and there are different types of color blindnesses, so you have to be mindful of that. But it's going to be hard for you to, what's the word? In instances like that, sticking with the color rules that we're talking about for your personality, it's going to be really difficult.
Yeah.
Right.
But you do want to make sure there's contrast, because maybe they're interpreting it a certain way, but at the end of the day, they still need to be able to know. They need to be able to read it.
Yeah,
it's blind.
And they need to be able to like it. It needs to be palatable to them too. But what's palatable to them, we need to translate back and say, is this reflecting something that culturally is inappropriate? Because color matters, right?
Right.
I think I told you guys about a story. I had a Bay Area client one time, and she and several of her colleagues are Japanese. And so we were going to be featuring them in the presentation we were designing together. And it was 3 main ones. Then they had a whole bunch of other people working with them, right? And so none of the photos were consistent as far as style and saturation and color and background and quality, to be quite honest. So the best way that I have ever handled differences like that is to make things black and white and a little grainy, right? If it goes with the brand. Well, and so I was telling her that, you know, that was my plan. And she said, no, wait. She goes, you can't do that. And I said, okay, why? And I told her again, this is why I was trying to make them a little more consistent. She said, no, because in our culture, if somebody's photo is black and white, it means that they're dead. I was like, so you have to think of cultural implications of color as well. Yeah. And then to bring up another thing that we discussed in our conversation the other day is other elements, other design elements too. This is not color, but these are things that you have to think about when it comes to culture. Now, I had a client whose theme was wildness, and she was using some zebras and lions and kangaroos and elephants and stuff. And so I found some really cool sketches, and so I had them sprinkled throughout the site. And then I had a friend review it because I've been looking at it too many times, and she said, you know, I really like it, but there's something about that elephant. She goes, I'm not certain that the direction that you had the trunk, because I'll try to illustrate, the trunk was down, swooping down from the nose. And she goes, I don't think that's a good thing in Indian culture. And I was like, I know that she doesn't have a whole lot of Indian clients, but it's such a diverse area. We probably should look into that and see. And sure enough, the trunk down like that is a symbol of bad luck, or it's a bad omen or whatever. And so I had to go out and find an image of an elephant where his trunk was curving up. Which I think was prosperity or good luck or something.
I wonder what PHP's is, because their logo's an elephant.
Is it really?
Yeah, it really is.
I know code language would have a logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a purple elephant.
Okay, I'm looking it up.
Tech people always have logos. They like to say they don't like anything cute. But then most of their logos, if you think of everything in WordPress, is super cute. Or even image panda smushing thing, the image panda PNG.
Right.
Panda. It's so cute.
Oh, there it is. Oh, his trunk is down.
Well, you know,
it's PHP.
Their website's not really that, you know. You do you, boo.
So the nice thing is that even if you have, even if you're the hero personality and you really love pastels, that's fine. Just don't use them in your logo. That's the summation of what we were just discussing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I mean, the fact is, you want to look. If you're the hero, you want to look strong. The heroes are the master, right? They have mastered whatever the challenge is. They have mastered Nike, for example. They're one of the best hero images, and it's just do it, right? Well,
Yeah.
because these people have mastered running, they've mastered climbing, they're the pros, and Nike helps them get there. Helps them
Also,
do it.
and I learned from the Bible that we always say that we're an overcomer, and the Greek word is super nikeo, which means overly victorious. So Nike is from the Greek, that means victorious.
Wow, I did not know that. That is fun info.
Victor.
Yeah.
Well, as my future son-in-law would say, we invented everything because he's Greek. So he always goes we invented everything.
Like, yeah.
Well, we didn't invent democracy, so that's and the island of Crete is known for their honey. I want to go there. So
and olive trees, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
yeah.
But that's like that whole Mediterranean area is all about.
Yeah. Well, so besides Nike, if anybody wants to go look at these others, I've for the hero archetype, I've got Spider-Man, the American Red Cross. Hello.
Yeah.
And people might think, oh, no, these are the caregivers. Well, they are, but guess what? When disaster strikes, who's there?
Red Cross before FEMA, that's for sure.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Spider-Man still.
Hey, Spider-Man, wherever a spider can spin so well. Anytime catches sees just like a watch out. Here comes the Spider-Man. He's there. You got to page Batman because he's in a cave. The Spider-Man's already there. It's in his song. And even though I love Batman because he's all about revenge, Spider-Man has the best song and a story. Best hero.
You know what? I never thought about that.
No other superhero has a good song.
Why does Batman have a sign that goes up onto the moon if he can't see it when he's in his cave?
So that what's the butler guy can see it?
Well, I mean,
I guess so.
And Rob, and he outsourced it to Robin later, but yeah, they put it up in the sky. But yeah, he's in his little cave doing his cave things, but it was really for Bruce Wayne to see it,
right?
Because he had to go. Superman went into a telephone booth. Superman would be in trouble now. So we don't have any telephone booths.
Yeah.
Where
you'd have to find a portagon.
That's not very hero-esque. Like, where would Superman change right now?
The car in the car now.
I mean, the Christopher Reeves one where he spins around. Spider-Man is the patron saint of the web. Very good. Some Catholic humor from Warren Lane. Nice job. No, but literally, when I was a kid, I loved Spider-Man because of that song. And he would just go, like, there's the web. Batman's more like Inspector Gadget, right? Mm-hmm. He has the tools. There's no supernatural part of him. He's just a very bitter guy. And then Superman is like, super like clean, and he's an alien. He's literally an alien. Okay.
Right.
So he's E.T. but not ugly. And then his like whole weird situation with his father and the planet. It's like he's got this troubled childhood. He's so super dysfunctional. So I had this, theory that superheroes they all come from dysfunction. That's why everybody wants their backstory. That's why Marvel and DC are making so much damn money.
That's why Spider-Man's backstory keeps getting replayed over and over and over again in every single movie. It's like, dude, we know where he came from, and you keep changing it anyhow. So, do we really know where he came from?
Well, they kind of played with Batman's issues in Joker, with his name Joaquin Phoenix, and I was like, what? I went on Twitter. what are their brothers? What is going on? And Scott Kroom is like, nah, that's kind of like not in the canon.
Right.
I know that the Comic-Con people are all about canon, and I know about the canon because I used to teach the Bible. So like, and then somebody the other day was like, I don't care how they spell capital. I just want to spell canon correctly. But anyway, like what a fun episode. There's so much to think about, like what should be in your logo, how it's going to look to other people, you know, adding tint, adding shades, creating those different moods. Like for the kids ministry, the women's ministry, you could definitely do those tints. The men, the teens, you could definitely do the shades. But it's still a commonality, a whole brand that has that consistency.
Yeah,
what a lot for us to think about, Rhonda. Thanks for jumping on last minute.
You're welcome.
Next week, we're going to have Devin Walker of GiveWP.com talking about why technical dependencies are important for marketing.
Sweet.
Yes, I'm doing a better job at pre-booking guests.
That's a really good subject.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait because there's nobody better at technical dependencies than Devin Walker, and also he's talked about it a lot. So
yeah, we know some plugin developers, some theme developers, and everything in between who need to hear that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So tour tip of the week time. Tour tip of the week is brought to you by Bridget's book, The Keys to Being Social. Feel free to go take a look at that over on Amazon and go take a look at that. She's been putting all of her books over there. It's at a point now where you can just go and click on Bridget Willard's name on Amazon and you can see all the other books that she's done.
Yeah.
So it's looking good over there. So speaking of which, Bridget, tell us about your tour tip of the week.
So my tool or tip is the Definitive Guide to Twitter Marketing, which is available on Amazon and Kindle as a paperback or ebook, or if you want to read it for free, it's on my website. Just Google Definitive Guide to Twitter Marketing. I mean, because it's 7,000 words. It's over 7,000 words. So it's going to take you a good 25 minutes to read it. But some people like holding a book in their hands. Like this is my friend Carol's book. It's probably going to be thin like this because it's not that long. But I like books because I like writing in books and stuff. I like taking notes. And some people don't want to be on their computer the whole time. But if you do decide to get the Kindle version, all of the links work, including the link to my free Twitter lessons. Like there's a lot of people I see all the time. Oh, I wish I had a better, like what you said, Jason, if I had a better following, maybe somebody would listen to me, or authors who are trying to go to legitimate publishers and have to have a minimum of 10,000 followers. Well, you know, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. And the second best time is today.
Right.
So yeah, it takes 5 years. It takes 5 years to get 10,000 followers. If you want it to be faster, then you need to participate more. Spend 2 hours a day on Twitter and you'll do it. If you do it my way and stop listening to other people on WordPress who have celebrity and can do it the wrong way. Okay. Like look at my account and look at everything that I do, model my behavior. You could go take this book, fork it, start your own social media agency, do it for yourself, in-house, train your own team, whatever. But either way, I'm not telling you some BS. You know, it's not 500 pages of fluff. It's exactly what you should be doing. And it links to other blog posts of mine because I'm the subject matter expert. This is what I've been doing since 2007. And like, I'm super good at this. Like, here's what I will tell you. Like, I feel like people don't know how good I am at this. When I was working at the advertising agency, one of our clients is Paul Davis, and they are a restoration company. We were on the franchise development side because we worked in franchise development. And guess what? A hurricane came. And so we got a call. And my boss got the call, of course, and it's like, we need help. They wanted our help on their main Twitter account for information and how to leverage social media, specifically Twitter, for Hurricane Harvey. In less than an hour, I had a marketing proposal written that was accepted by the client and got us $50,000 worth of work for just 1 month.
Nice.
So yes, I know what I'm talking about, and it kind of sounds like bravado, but I'm not giving you bad advice. Most people who like, that's why I'm like, I double dog dare you to try it. That's what I've always told people. Try it for 2 weeks, try it for a month. Look at your own analytics. And if you don't like it, guess what? Do it your own way. Do it the way you've always been doing it, which isn't working for you. I don't care. Like, it's not skin off my back, but I really want to help you. I feel like I just want to help every one of my WordPress friends, but there's not enough of me. It just isn't. You guys can do it. I believe in you. Like, this whole automatic thing doesn't have to be such a threat.
Right.
We can do the Twitter levels the playing field for people like us and bigger companies, because they ignore people, and we need community and connection. And when you have a good feeling about somebody, that's called affinity. Affinity leads to loyalty. Loyalty leads to sales. No matter what Automattic's done, they're losing loyalty. So it's your opportunity. Either way, I love them. Matt's awesome. If he would sit down with me, I would tell him the same thing I'm telling you all now. Okay? So here's the thing. Just try it. And you can read it for free on BridgetWillard.com.
I felt like that needed an audience.
Coming to my TED Talk. I'm so passionate about it, especially right now. Like, Jason, I'm scared. Like, when this pandemic first started, I was the one that was like, it'll be over by May 15th. It's not over.
No. And
it's not going to be over.
No.
It's going to be this whole other year. So.
I can't hear Jason.
Jason's voice.
Yeah, he was speaking.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. So, Rhonda, tell us about yours.
Yeah, so Timler, I'm going to show you. This is my time tracking device. I love it. I have different, so my time that I spend on Twitter, and then if I'm going to need to spend time on Facebook, all I do is I turn it over on my desk. So while it's sitting in this little dock, it's not in use because nothing is, see, just this is pointing up. As soon as I set it on my desk, a side is pointing up. So on this side, the one that's pointing up is the phone. So I know I'm working on calling clients back or whatever. I've got one that says logo design. I could put that up, and then I know how I'm using my time through the day. They have they have different plans. There's when you buy the device, you automatically get, like, I don't know, they change them up every year, as they should. I think you might get 6 months or something included when you buy the device.
What does the device do?
So it knows, because you assign it, you go into your computer and it has this little app, and you assign what, you turn it, this is the side that's up. So you take your stickers, because it comes with stickers, and you put the sticker on it, and then you label it in the app. And so this one has the little birdie. And so in the app, I said, this is Twitter. When this side is up, it's Twitter. When this side is up, it's Facebook.
So you don't have to mess around with going in the thing and changing it. You just
no.
Thing.
It's just the setup, and the setup, trust me, I hate setting stuff up. So the setup takes like 10 minutes if you're trying to be like super thorough, but less. And then you get a report. You can choose to ignore it every week and wait till the end of the month, or you can wait till the end of the year, whatever. But you get reports, and it'll tell you where you've been spending your time.
And you could draw on it if you want, instead of using a sticker.
Yeah, I had to write logo design on mine.
That's cool.
And web design. I don't know if you can see it.
That's fun.
Yeah, I love it.
My mind is blown.
It's the best, because here's the thing. Are you always going to remember to click and I got to open up the other app and do it right? And then as soon as you do, you get distracted. Oh crap, whatever. And this way, it's sitting on your desk, you're working, and you're like, oh, I got a phone call. Switch it to the phone call side. It's that easy. Oh, I'm going to check my email now because I got a phone. I need to go through and see what they sent me and see if other people have sent me some, and then switch again. It's super easy. And it's just sitting there on my left side, flip, because I got my mouse on my right side. And I just flip it.
I like that.
Yeah, it's the best. I got it in 2018. So I'm sure they've done some improvements even since I got it. But let me tell you, it's the only one I've used. I haven't used it.
Looks like they have the physical tracker plus unlimited tracking on desktop and mobile apps. Transform time entries into charts and reports. You can do collaboration with it, export, as well as their support. And then they have just like the basic version of it, which is just the tracker itself plus the app. And then so you can pay either a monthly fee type of thing or a one-time fee, depending on what type of functionality you need with it.
Yeah, and I did the one-time thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, love it. Highly recommend it.
That's like, I'm speechless.
Yeah, it really just comes down to if you're someone who requires a physical thing to actually do it, or if you're someone who doesn't mind switching between different things on your computer to do it. And it's neither one is good or bad. It just comes down to like, how do you actually interact with this stuff on a day-to-day basis, and if you can actually do it that way or not.
As my friend Bridget says, the one that's best for you is the one that you use, right?
Yeah,
the tool that works is the one you use.
I'd have to carry around that thing. And I'd feel like I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons, because that's one of the Dungeons and Dragons dice. So I'd feel like I'm like rolling every single time, like rolling for initiative or something. It's the wrong sided dice to do initiative, but
well,
it's one of those
the dungeon master of your life.
Right. But I'd have to walk around with that thing and then roll it just to be able to like kind of figure it out. So
that would be fun. What am I going to work on next? Oh, okay.
That's what I thought it was like.
Yeah, right.
Randomizing your tasks, like randomizing your meals or something. Because they have a thing like that for dinner and movie nights. Gift cards where you have a set of dice, so the husband and wife don't have to be like, I don't know, what do you want to? I don't know, what do you want to eat? I don't know, what do you want to see?
Right.
And whatever it says, oh, it's a comedy and Italian. That's what you're doing.
That's fun. I should look into that.
All righty, so let me pull mine up real quick.
Oh my gosh, I missed this show. I didn't even realize it. I didn't even realize how much I missed this show. I miss y'all on YouTube. Say hi to everybody else for me. Thanks for coming and watching us. Eimer, Warren.
All right, here we go. So mine is a thing that I wrote about on Facebook recently. I didn't write a blog post about it, but I thought it would be a cool thing to share on the show here. So I was helping my wife out with scanning a bunch of old slides. And these old slides were, they're slides that you can just hold up to a light and be able to like look at them and do stuff. And they're super duper small, so they're really difficult to work with. But I wanted to scan them all. And so I wanted to put them on Google Photos and put them on our Apple Photos and make it so it'll show up on our TV and show up on all the different places. That's us and our family. And so what I wanted to do is kind of, be able to scan these quickly and easily. And so I use this app called Slide Scan. And so the way Slide Scan works is it takes, I'm going to play a little video just so you can see it. So what you do is you take the slide and you open up your computer and you use the backlight, the screen as the backlight of the slide. And then you hold your phone up to the computer and hold the slide in between them. And then it scans the slide for you.
No.
Yeah.
That's rad.
Oh, my uncle.
Does it do that for negatives?
Huh?
Does it do that for negatives?
You could do a negative if you wanted to as well, and then just flip it, but yeah, so that's all it is. It's like that simple to do. So you go to the website, and it puts a light screen up on the screen for you, and then you just go and just scan the photos.
That's
And
awesome.
it has some stuff. So if you're not somebody who's able to quickly and easily jump between different photos and stuff, or different apps and stuff, they actually have some filters in there. So for instance, if I go in here, and this is a photo of my wife when she was a little kid.
Aww.
You can go in here and hit processing, and you can actually process the photo, so you can change the colors of it and change whatever. So if you need it to be enhanced or any of those sorts of things. If you accidentally scanned the photo and you notice that, like for instance, this is my wife's family home that we live in. So we're pretty used to the way that things look and everything. Maybe I think this photo is backwards. You can do a quick little flip. It also crops out the photo for you automatically, so you can do that as well. So really, really cool. There is a monthly fee for it if you end up using it, but feel free to go take a look at it and see if it's something that's right for you.
That's amazing.
Wow, that is amazing.
Amazing. Those are two amazing tips.
Yeah, so that one's called SlideScan, and SlideScan has a family of other photos other apps that do a same sort of type of thing, but Colorize and Life Show and a whole bunch of stuff like that. One in particular is if you want to scan film, they have a whole film version of it too, so you can kind of go through and just like scan the film through your phone real fast. It's pretty nifty. So go take a look at that. We're out of time. Rhonda, thank you very much for hanging out with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the invite. I always love talking to you guys.
It was super fun to kind of discuss color and the moods of color and all that sort of thing, and really, really appreciate you and the opportunity that you bring us to have you come in and talk to us about this stuff.
Well, thank you.
All right, here's our outro. Talk to y'all there. Bye-bye. Go help us out on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/WP Watercooler. There's the fine folks that helped us out over there. We really appreciate them and what they're doing for us. If you want to listen to us as a podcast, you can definitely do that. Go over to WPWatercooler.com/subscribe to learn to subscribe to all this content over there. We'd really appreciate that. You have a good rest of your day. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.